The shaping of belief. If sorrow reveals the heart's tension, belief reveals the mind's. Both are teachers of stillness, one of the heart, the other of the mind. Through sorrow, we learn to let emotion pass without clinging. But through awareness, we learn to let perception soften without defense. When the heart no longer fears feeling, and the mind no longer fears uncertainty, a great calm arises, not as indifference, but compassion. We begin to sense the same current moving through both pain and opinion, the same still intelligence beneath every face of the world. This is where the two paths meet, the alchemy of feeling and the alchemy of thought, both dissolving back into the quiet flame of presence. There are moments in quiet places, like a cafe or a walk, a simple conversation, when we glimpse the machinery of the human world turning. I was recently sitting in a coffee shop, and I was listening to two men talk. They spoke kindly to one another, yet held different views about politics, or the state of the world, what's wrong, what's right. Neither one of them was wrong. They were simply shaped. It struck me that everything we believe, everything we feel certain about, is formed by the kind and quality of information that we have been exposed to. Our beliefs are really nothing more than reflections of exposure, not proof of truth. We inherit opinions like we inherit our accents, through repetition, through the air we breathe. The historic Buddha once compared human nature to a handful of grains. You have rice, millet, a few different kinds of beans. And he said, we are made of 5 aggregates. He named them form, feeling, perception, thought, and consciousness. Now, none of these alone or together create what we would think of as a self. They arise, they mingle, and they pass away. So what we call I is only a belief assembly. And so it is with our certainties about life. They too are aggregates, shaped by our upbringing, our trauma, a media influence, the tribe we are in, and our individual temperament. We defend these fiercely, yet they are just as impermanent as clouds. Therefore, to awaken is to begin noticing this kind of shaping we've been exposed to, not to condemn it, but to see through it, gently, curiously, the same way that one watches the ripples of wind across the water. Awareness does not fight with beliefs. It listens through it. And when we see that everyone's convictions are products of their conditioning, something remarkable begins to happen. Compassion begins to replace our judgments. That's when we stop needing to win the argument, because we recognize that all of us are built of echoes, trying to make sense of the same vast silence. I have discovered that stillness invites us to rest beneath all that shaping and to enter into the quiet field that exists before opinions. That is where wisdom begins. It's not in having the right view or having the right information, but in being free from the need to hold one. Whenever you encounter another person's certainty, just pause and ask, what exposure might have formed this? What pain, what hope, what story shaped this tone of voice? And remember to breathe. The heart understands what the mind seeks to divide. Everything that people believe and feel is based on what they have been shown, told, or what they have survived. When you see this clearly, without superiority, without cynicism, it is the beginning of peace. The nervous system and the search for peace. There eventually comes a moment when we begin to see that everything we believe, every conviction, every preference, even the kind of people we're drawn to, has been quietly shaped by what our nervous system has learned to trust. We do not build our beliefs through logic alone. We absorb them through the body's long memory of safety and pain. Each of us is a living collage of impressions: genetics, family tone, cultural noise, heartbreak, media, fear, longing. And these become the scaffolding through which the world is interpreted. We don't really see things as they are. We see them as our imprints allow. For some, that imprint carries calm and trust. For others, tension and vigilance. A child who learns love is conditional will later mistake anxiety for connection. Another child raised in chaos may equate peace with boredom. The body clings to what it knows, even if it hurts. And this is why no one can make another person happy. And it's not because love is weak, but because the nervous system does not change through persuasion. It changes through regulation. And regulation begins when awareness descends beneath thought into sensation, beneath story into breath. I covered this in a video. I explained that descent is what I call AMBE, the art of mindful being embodied. It is the return from mental narrative into the body's original rhythm of safety. Whenever we forget this descent, we live at level 4. This is the realm of opinions and ideology and emotion and memory without grounding. This is where we argue, compare, and defend our scaffolding, believing our version of truth is the absolute. But it is only the nervous system seeking consistency. Non-reactive intelligence teaches us how to see these reactions without becoming them. And observation becomes the new anchor. Through daily practice, we can learn to watch the waves of reaction rise and fall without collapsing into stories. This is how belief begins to loosen its hold, not through debate, but through simple awareness. Realize that the age we live in now amplifies every past wound. Social media, politics, and the spiritual cultures magnify the old programs of belonging and rejection. We are informed endlessly, yet rarely attuned. But the path through is the same now as it was in the caves of the old masters. To pause, breathe, feel the ground beneath us, and return to presence. Love cannot grow in a body that is braced for defense. But when the nervous system learns safety, love becomes its natural expression. It's not an effort, it's not an ideal, but a current that literally moves through us. So perhaps the real work of this age is not to find agreement with others, but to find self-regulation. When each of us becomes steady, belief softens into understanding, and the heart begins to listen again. You may recall the earlier reflection from a video that I made entitled "The Two Faces of Sorrow." One face was the hard depression that closes the heart. It's a heavy silence of resistance. The other was the tender ache that opens it. It's the sorrow that softens us towards life. Both faces are necessary, for one teaches us to endure what feels unbearable, and the other teaches us to feel without drowning. Now, in the shaping of belief, we meet sorrow's companion, perception. Just as emotion can harden or open the heart, perception can blind or awaken the mind. And together they form the alchemy of healing, feeling what is true and seeing what shapes it. Peace is never found in changing others, but in repatterning the field within ourselves. The pathway is simple. Pause, breathe, observe, and let the current settle. This is how the body remembers its way home. This is how the nervous system comes to coherence. And in that homecoming, belief becomes silence. And silence becomes love. May peace be with you.